Constitutional Conjunction.
You mean the Constitutional Convention?
Same thing.
Oh, well, I know a story that could really help you.
Flashback to 1787.
Hi, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you.
Everybody, please take your seats.
So long.
Let us all introduce ourselves. I'm Benjamin Franklin, Pennsylvania.
James Madison, Virginia. George Mason, Virginia. Patrick Henry, Virginia. George Washington, Virginia.
James Wilson, Pennsylvania. Alexander Hamilton, New York. John Jay, New York.
Nice to meet you all. Our first order of business is...
Did he just fall asleep? How did he fall asleep? It's such a funny. Okay. Well, how do you all feel about how the government should be run? How do you feel that the power should be distributed to benefit our nation?
I believe Congress should have all the power in decision and lawmaking.
I agree.
No. Having government make all the decisions is giving them way too much control. We just got our independence from a government that was too strong. We do not need to make that mistake again.
No. I completely disagree with you, Mr. Mason. However, I am on the same page as Mr. Madison.
Wonderful.
Because in our current government, the state government is seen to them as a threat.
How so?
Because then the state governments will have control and the national governments will be overthrown. For example, since the current government's Congress is not very strong, we haven't been able to make a national currency. How do we expect foreign countries to trade with us if we don't even have a standard currency?
Valid point. And I believe the Constitution should be written in general language, which will give the federal government great power over the states and the people. If it was written in general language, the national government would have the power to make the currency.
No.
Whoa! What's going on?
We need a limited government.
Exactly.
No. We need
Everyone settle down. We will have no progress if we argue back and forth. Let us all speak once at a time.
Thank you, Mr. Franklin. I and many others disagree with Mr. Madison's and Mr. Washington's points. The federal government should not hold all the power because Congress should not have the power to veto law.
But if the Congress does not hold all the power, then it could be threatened by the state governments, just like it is right now.
But if Congress holds all the power, the new government could turn out to be just as bad as the one we just fought a war to get out of.
Mr. Henry, please calm down. Your voice will be heard, but right now it is giving me a headache.
Oh my God!
What are you doing?
Goodness!
What?
Oh my God! Oh my God!
Oh. Wait, is this the last
Okay.
How can we even consider making a strong national government even though we just came out of one? This government needs to be a limited one for many reasons. One, being that it would protect the property rights of all citizens. Obviously, my voice is not being heard because there's still discussion of a strong national government. I can't speak of this country's future with men who only want the country to turn out like England.
I hope he's okay.
I will not stay here if you guys will not listen to me. Good day.
Oh my goodness. Well, that was unpleasant, but I do agree with that. I do believe we should have a limited government. And one way we could do that is to have enumerated powers.
Flash forward to present day.
Grandpa, what are enumerated powers? Grandpa,
What?
what are enumerated powers?
What?
What are enumerated powers?
Oh. Well, enumerated powers are powers that are specifically listed in the Constitution. Many of the delegates wanted the powers of Congress to be enumerated or specific, so that would able to limit the powers of Congress. You see, if the powers of Congress were listed as generally as possible, it would give the Congress great power over the states and the people. Also, if the Congress's powers were listed generally, there could be confusion as to what they could and could not do.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yes, flashback. to
If we write
1787.
the Constitution broadly instead of with enumerated powers, it will benefit the country greatly.
And why do you think this?
Because it will give the great power over the people and the states, which is exactly what we need in our new government, because the power of the Congress is what's lacking in our current government, the Articles of Confederation.
But Mr. Henry does have a good point. We can't make this government so strong.
But Mr. Washington's point could benefit the nation in a better way.
No, it wouldn't.
Yes, it would.
I agree it would.
You both had valid points regarding our government. I think the only way to come to an agreement is to consider Mr. Henry's point and Mr. Washington's. We must come to a compromise.
Back to the present.
It took a long time for the framers to come to an agreement, and when they did, many were upset because no one got their way completely. Because in a true compromise, no one leaves happy.
Flashback to 1787.
Well, men, it has taken a long time, but I think we have finally come to a compromise. Some of us wanted to limit the power of Congress by listing its power very specifically, and others wanted to write its powers very generally. To reach compromise, we wrote the Constitution in both general and specific language.
I do not agree with this completely, but I am happy that most of the Constitution is written generally.
I do not agree with the general writing, but I am happy that Article 1 is written very specifically, outlining the powers of Congress.
Back to the present.
What's Article 1?
Well, Article 1 is a section of the Constitution that basically outlines the powers of the Congress, such as the power to lay and collect taxes, to pay the debts, and provide the common defense for the country, to regulate commerce with foreign countries, to declare war, to raise an army and navy, and to coin money, which is very important. Now let's get back to the story.
Flashback to 1787.
And the Congress will be divided into two houses, which split the power in lawmaking process, but also give the Congress more power than the state governments, so they will no longer be a threat to the national government.
Sounds good. How about we put this into a clause?
Alright, but what do you suppose we call it?
I say we call it the Necessary and Proper Clause, which will allow the Congress to make appropriate laws for delivering enumerated powers.
We also have to make sure we are doing what is right for the people. Congress should have the authority to spend money without a budget for the protection of the people. We can call this the general welfare.
It seems as though we've come to an agreement, gentlemen. Meeting adjourned.
Bye. Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
To the present.
Well, it all makes sense now.
I told you my story would help.
Thank you, Grandpa.
The next day.
Good morning, class. Today is December 30th, 2012. As you know, we have a test on the Constitutional Convention today. Please take your seats and I will give you your test when you're seated. Here you go, Aura.
What is enumerated powers? What are some of the powers listed in Article 1? Name 4 people that attended the Constitutional Convention. I remember what Grandpa told me.
1787, I'm told our founding fathers did agree to write a list of principles, keeping people free. For free! You used to say we're just starting out a whole brand new country. Spelled it out, the things that